All right, folks, welcome back to Flatirons Tuning. We're here in the shop. We still have our VB WRX on the lift here. Actually, it hasn't left the lift since we put these guys on, the WRX TR Brembos. It's a funny story. So when we put these on, we use the WRX TR knuckles. So we had to take the whole front suspension and everything apart, and we did that. Took the strut off, put on the new knuckles, put on the brakes, and there it is. Works great. Well, because we took everything apart, well, now we have to get the car aligned. And we were going to do that, and then this box showed up. Something that we had ordered, we've been waiting on. I thought it was going to be here for like another month, but it just showed up, and it's these Cusco coilovers. So these are Cusco 03Gs, and this is the autocross setup that we tested on a 2008 STI. And when we were doing that, getting those installed, we kind of were thinking about it going, I think we can probably get these to fit on the VB. We need to try that. So that's the plan. But the thing is those are not for this car. There's a couple small differences. I'm not sure if it's going to fit. So that's the first question. We're going to dive into that, see if we can get it to fit. You might never actually see this video. If you do see this video, then it worked. If you never see this video, you'll never hear this, but it's because it didn't work and we had to put something else on. Okay, now, before we dive into all that, see what we can do, please do like and subscribe to the channel. That really helps us out a bunch. If you like this content, you want us to keep coming back and making these videos for you. Like and subscribe to the channel. That helps a ton. Check out the merch down at the bottom. That helps a ton. Been getting some good positive feedback about our data shirt and that sort of thing. And then head over to Flatironstuning.com. If we have anything at Flatironstuning.com for you that you need, that support goes a long, long way to helping us come back here and make this content for you. So check all that stuff out. Now let's dive into it. Let's get into the suspension. Let's see if we can make it work. Ooh, but first, before we do anything, we have to do the thing that we always forget to do, that you should not forget to do, which is to take measurements. Before you take the suspension off, before you make any big changes, measure the ride height. Check the travel. Get a good baseline of measurements of what the suspension that you're taking off is set at, is doing, and then put the new suspension on. We always forget this. We always take everything off and go like, oh man, we really should have checked the ride height before we yanked everything apart. And so we've done that. We have the measurements, we have the data, so we can see, when we put these Cuscos on, is it going to raise the car? Is the car at the same height? Can we get it, to be level? All those sorts of things, we're going to know that. And I'm really curious how the travel compares to the stock suspension. So really want to see that, but to do that, we have to get it on. We have to make sure that it works. So let's start there. Let's just see if we can make this thing happen. All right, suspension coming off now. So here we are, and the suspension is on the car. Initially meant to get like one side done and make this, but we had a flurry of activity and all of the suspension is on the car. So here's what we found. Up front, bolting up to the knuckle, that was the easy part. with these 03Gs, because they don't have an application for the VB chassis, we've lost the fitting for the in-link to basically connect to the sway bar up front. It's something that we're going to work on, but so for right now, what we've done is we just removed the whole front sway bar. With the direction we're going with this car, that was fine. So there's no front sway bar. And up top was the most interesting thing. We discovered that for the VB, they've changed the bolt pattern, and this is the GD bolt pattern, but the bolts are much thicker. It's probably, I don't know, like an M14 instead of an M10 or something like that. There's a big difference. So we could put a GD top hat in there, but it would rock around. And there's kind of a discussion about, well, once we torque the bolts down, would that hold it enough? Just don't know. Maybe, you know, the alignment settings could change if it was a camber top hat. So for right now, what we did is we stuck with the stock top hat for the VB. The other thing is, it looks like the race for the inner bearing is maybe a little bit of a different size. So that's something too, where, you know, down the road, a proper top hat for this car would probably be a little bit more ideal, well, with camber adjustment. So for right now, we're sticking with the stock top hat, and that's fine. We did gain a lot of droop travel. We'll get to that in a second. For the rear, as we alluded to in the test fitting, we found a lot of suspension binding that we weren't expecting. I was expecting the rear suspension to move a lot more freely than it did. So what that pretty much means is that even if you put in, you know, a strut that has more capability of travel, I think the suspension linkages, the factory suspension design, is going to fight you on that. So there's not really going to be much to be gained there, which is unfortunate, at least for now. But that's something that we've already had to think on. We've got some ideas of things maybe to try to improve that. Because really what it looks like is if we could just get the rear suspension linkages to move a little bit more freely, there's travel to be had there. There's gains. So that is intriguing. Where we ended up with the suspension, kind of as expected, is we've got a 1-inch lift front and rear. And in the back, we were able to retain pretty much the factory droop travel. It's still about like 2.5 inches of droop back there, which is, it's not the greatest, but it's okay. I mean, we didn't lose anything, and we gained an inch of height, so that's good. In the front, we gained a ton of droop travel. There's about 4 inches of droop travel up here. And so that's good. There's almost an imbalance here. That's the worry, is that we've got too much going on up front that maybe the rear just can't keep up, but we're going to find out. So now that everything's on the car, where we are is we're going to now basically go through and fine tune the setup. You know, make sure that the right height, left to right, front to rear, is exactly where we want it to be. Play with the alignment. You know, there's still some double checking we want to do on the brakes, get it all put back together, and then go out and test drive this thing. So that's going to be coming up in the next installment. So we were so excited to kind of figure this out, get all this on the car. We wanted to make this video to let you guys know that. And you're just going to have to stay tuned, subscribe to the channel for the next iteration, which will come out in a handful of days here, where we can actually go out and test drive this thing and give you kind of first impressions. But with all the droop travel that we gained, and with the spring race and everything, we're really excited to get this out and test it. So yeah, that's where we're at. It's on the car, and in just a few short days, we're going to be out there and looking for bumps to hit to see how it does. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks for your support as always. And until next time, stay tuned to Flat Iron's Tuning.